It is 3:37. Just a little reminder that tomorrow the conversation, because it's Friday, we're going to be talking food. We're broadcasting live from the Beam. I'm hoping I get a little bit of lunch before 1 o'clock. Brought to you by More Cravings by Marriott Bonvoy. So we're going to be meeting chef Nick Alvis. We're going to be talking films with William Mullally, the What's On Awards. So feeling a bit stuck for what to do at the weekend, make sure you tune in tomorrow between 1 and 4.
This is Eye on Education on Dubai Eye 103.8.
Sponsored by Horizon English School Town Square, a new British curriculum school opening in August 2027. Built on over 35 years of educational excellence, where children are inspired to grow with confidence, curiosity and happiness.
We've been talking about that, as parents, we send our children off to school expecting them to learn the maths and the science and their English. But some of the most important lessons aren't actually written into any curriculum. Things like kindness and confidence, communication, knowing how to navigate friendships. And educators often call this the hidden curriculum, and many would argue it is just as important as the exam results. Nick Hart is with us today, Principal of Horizon English School Town Square, to talk about why these, life skills matter, how schools can help children develop them, and of course the news that KHDA has announced inspections are back. You are opening your doors when, Mr. Hart?
In August 2027.
So what happens then with a new school being inspected?
Yeah, so new schools have full inspections after 3 years of operating, but annual visits before then. So we're absolutely ready and waiting for that, even from kind of for an opening, because you can't wait.
It's so interesting because I've heard so many schools saying we want to be inspected. Yeah. We're ready to be inspected. We want to be maybe reclassified, or we've added a STEM wing, or we've had a change of leadership. And, I think for many schools, you'd imagine that the idea of being inspected would fill them with dread, but the reaction I've heard from that headline yesterday that the inspections are going to be back from next academic year have been really, really positive.
Yeah, I mean, we all want kind of validation that what we're doing is recognised externally, because one thing to internally judge how you're doing, but having an external eye with really highly trained inspectors against a framework is it justifies the hard work that you've done. It gives you pointers for what can come next. But it's also important from a parent perception point of view, because you have to be competitive. You have to in the eyes of parents show that the school is improving. You have to hit the standards. It's a kind of a two-pronged thing there. Yeah. It's internal, but also it's important externally as well.
I think we as parents obviously do look at those inspection ratings when choosing a school, and as I said earlier, some more than others and place greater emphasis on it. But what should we understand about what sits behind those ratings and reports?
Yeah, I mean, Dubai UAE has historically been one of the most regulated jurisdictions in the world. Annual inspections for every school, and that's not the case across the world. And with the changes to inspections, those full inspections may become less frequent now. So there are two different types of inspection: a QA1 and QA2. And the thing to understand about it is that inspections are at a point in time. So an inspection team can walk out the door on a Thursday or Friday, and the judgments they made are the school that existed at that point. So 6 months later, 12 months later, and in some cases because of pauses to inspections 2 years later, that school isn't the same. So when parents look at an inspection report, that's a snapshot of history. It's not how a school is now or how it may be when your child is at that school in the next couple of years. So just like Nicola said on the show before, the important bit is the feeling that you get from a school. You have to look at what's published because it's rigorous. It's a standardized framework, but then you combine it with how does it feel to go there? What do other parents say about the school?
And there's so many variables, because you, as you say, it's a snapshot in time. Your child could be in a class and that cohort could be completely different to the year before, or there could be a teacher that excels in a certain subject and has a passion that I think it's just so much more nuanced than we. It would be nice to go, okay, it's outstanding. We are going to love it. But I do think sometimes it does set a bit of an expectation for parents, and to understand that just because a school is deemed to be outstanding doesn't mean it's the best school for you as a family.
Or for your child, because
Exactly.
every school offers something a little bit different. There are many ways to provide a brilliant education, and the variety of schools in Dubai and across the world is great. You find a school that fits your child, your ethos, your beliefs about what education is for, and why you choose that school. It's a very individual decision.
And it's also interesting about this, schools being given this kind of relatively short notice period before an inspection. I always immediately thought of that quote about the Queen thinking that the whole world smelled of paint because, everywhere she went had been freshly painted before. And I think it's certainly in the UK when it comes to Ofsted, there's a huge amount of panic and preparation and pressure as well. What do you think about that kind of quick turnaround, time in terms of, understanding that it's not something necessarily to be nervous about, it's more of an opportunity?
Exactly. It's the short notice is just an indication of a more mature education system. So, like you say, in England, the model that exists with Ofsted now is where it looks like this education inspection framework is going, and you want inspection to be a true reflection of the school, and so the whole point of the short notice is let's let the inspection team see us as we are. Then you get genuine validation of what you're doing well, but also insightful feedback on what you can do better. And so really good schools are in a cycle of self-review and improvement anyway. And so an inspection team dropping in tomorrow is fine. Because we've got our system sorted, we know what we're doing.
Nick Hart's with us today. Now, obviously, beyond those academic outcomes, which ties into what we're talking today, the inspections do look at areas like well-being, inclusion, personal development. Why do you think it is important that schools are evaluated and focusing on more than just the exam results?
Yeah, I mean, we've known for a long time that the academic achievement has to be a given. When you're paying for education, you have to expect that as a parent. But when children leave school, they have to have more than grades, knowledge, skills. They have to be able to adapt to different environments, and that hidden curriculum is it can easily be left to chance. But the best schools plan for it. The best schools identify what it is that they want to instill in children and go about it systematically to complement the grades and the academics.
Now, academic does, of course, get most of the attention, Nick, but when we think about things like social confidence, emotional intelligence, how important are they in determining a child's future? I use the word success in a whole way, not in terms of how much you're going to earn way, but also in their happiness as well. And when it comes to designing that hidden curriculum, how can you ensure that you are going to be working towards that? So
the social confidence and emotional kind of awareness. I think there's two parts to it. One is that they are useful in themselves, because everyone has to go out into unfamiliar situations at some point in school life and in adult life, and be able to navigate those uncertain situations, meet new people, make a good impression, and those kind of things. But there's also the impact that those things have on the academic learning. So in academic circles, there's a lot spoken about in terms of cognitive load. So when children are trying to learn something new and difficult, it can easily become overwhelming. So the wisdom is that we kind of break things into small chunks and gradually release kind of independence. But when a child is sitting in a classroom and they're worried about friendships, or they're worried about being called upon to speak, those things inhibit children's ability to actually concentrate on the content.
I had a full-blown PTSD moment there of being called on to speak.
Exactly.
The irony of me doing what I do is not lost on me. But I found and still find public speaking really, really challenging. So if we were in an English lesson, and I'm sure a lot of people will relate to this, you'd know that there would be a paragraph that you'd have to read, and you'd be counting ahead to try and prepare. I literally just listened to a podcast yesterday of Tom Holland talking about him as an actor, as a performer, as an artist, refusing to co-host on SNL because he's dyslexic, and he's saying this thought of reading cue cards was just too much for him. And exactly as you say, if you are there with your heart pounding,
we will win there.
There's no way you are taking in that information.
You're just trying to get through that moment.
Exactly, without humiliating yourself or being laughed at. And I guess it's a little bit about psychological safety, and then understanding that other people are probably also panicking.
Yes, absolutely.
So this idea that that is normal. This is going to happen, and that's okay. So when it comes to cognitive load, how does that help teachers understand how to deliver that information in an effective way?
We have to understand what it is that's contributing to children, what are the barriers to understanding, and there are absolutely subject-specific and pedagogical barriers to understanding, but we can't ignore the social. Every teacher you speak to will tell you about what it's like to teach after lunch when children have maybe been playing, maybe had arguments with their friends, and those arguments fester, and they think about them. And so, of course, they're not going to be worried about your lesson on plant life cycles in the afternoon because they're worried about having fallen out with their friend.
How interesting to be able to think about the timing of lessons.
So children have to learn to resolve conflicts in order to concentrate on academics.
We're going to keep Nick Hart with us today. We're going to be talking about, and I think when we're talking about social confidence, it's not about forcing shy kids to be noisy kids. It's about understanding, about building confidence, having a sense of belonging as well. So if you've got any questions on that, do get in touch. 4001. Is there a life skill that you wish schools had focused on more when you were growing up? Let me know.
Dubai Eye 103.8's Weather Check.
Sponsored by Air Arabia.
Just a little reminder, if you have tuned in, the first hour of the show, if you're looking for the podcast, is Afternoons with Helen Farmer. And then it is Eye on Education. So if you want to catch up on that, wherever you get your podcasts, that's what you need to search for.
This is Eye on Education on Dubai Eye 103.8.
Sponsored by Horizon English School Town Square, a new British curriculum school opening in August 2027. Built on over 35 years of educational excellence, where children are inspired to grow with confidence, curiosity and happiness.
We've been talking about communication and about confidence, and of course schools have a role in that, but it's been really interesting. A video popped up just last night, a mum from North Carolina who posted on Instagram a video of her 9-year-old boy doing a presentation about his suggested holiday destination. Kendra Ali posted, "When our kids turn 10, they choose the family trip anywhere, but they have to pitch it first." Here's how it went.
Just start by telling us why we're here.
Yeah. Hi, thanks for coming. Today I'm going to present my 10th birthday vacation presentation. This is where and why I want to visit Hawaii. The top things I want to eat or try, the shaved ice, because in the videos I was doing for my research, almost every single one said, you have to get the shaved ice. It's amazing, it's amazing. The top things I want to see is number 1, Mauna Kea and Mauna Loa, which are the twin mountains. There's non-stop adventure. If we have 3 boys, there's going to be stuff for us to do. We can make some memories, because we're not going to forget climbing up a volcano or swimming with sharks. Can we go?
Let's go, boys!
It's really cute. He's standing there in front of his PowerPoint presentation, which, by the way, I still am very poor on creating, but this 10-year-old's done it. And it kind of just spoke to me that, this idea of researching, of persuasive language, of standing up even in front of your family, you can see how nervous he is, helps build these life skills that, we talk about as being part of the hidden curriculum. And in the studio today, we've got Nick Hart, who's the principal of Horizon English School Town Square. We're talking about some of the essential skills for the future, communication there, but emotional intelligence, character, strong relationships as well. Do you think there is a life skill that you wish schools had focused on more when you were growing up, Nick, that would have served you better, served you well, or was kind of conspicuous by its absence?
I think there's a couple that would jump out, and from my own experience at school, I just did what I enjoyed doing. I played football, played rugby, do all the sport, and then when it comes to things like careers, how can I do more of that? And it's interesting. I've read a little bit recently about that as a problem with teens now. The OECD have done some work on flourishing and what's missing in teens, and a big part of that is finding purpose, and then doing something with that. So I kind of ended up doing that by accident. I think by
pretty ironic.
Yeah, by just thinking, okay, I want to do as much sport as possible and work in that arena somehow. But I think that's fundamental to flourishing is appreciating the world, understanding it, and acting with purpose is a huge part of that OECD report.
And also understanding what your purpose is, what your values are. It's really interesting. You mentioned before about the cognitive load, and that you can't concentrate on a lesson if you're thinking about the falling out you had over lunch. And I think that's probably what was missing for me, is being comfortable with having uncomfortable conversations. And unfortunately now it's probably even worse because there's less face-to-face.
Yep.
It's probably in a WhatsApp group or a Snap exchange, and people just get kicked out of the group, and there's no back and forth of what you said hurt my feelings, or when you said that I felt this. And I feel like that would have really helped me, probably not just with friendships but also relationships, and even in the workplace, to be okay with like standing up for myself a little bit more and communicating how I'm feeling. Do you feel like that's become a bit more woven in terms of that emotional intelligence side?
I think we have to really pay attention to it in schools, because the amount of communication that children do online has boomed, and the amount of in-person interaction has probably reduced. I can't necessarily quote some data on that, but that's a fair assumption to make. And what we do know as well is that in online conversations, children and adults say things they would never say just to somebody's face, and so that makes the repair even more important. That the teaching of how to resolve conflict it should be a significant part, and it often happens incidentally, because teachers will help. Teachers will notice that there's something not right, and then they walk them through how to do it, and that's how children learn. They have to see models of how to do it. They have to be prompted in how to do it, and then gradually have that independence released to do it themselves when things come up.
And the same with us as parents as well. I've had this with my kids where I've shouted or reacted in a way that I wasn't proud of, and having to apologise to your kids is quite humbling, but to do it in a way that's actually meaningful, not to not. It's really, really hard to do the sorry of, I'm sorry I shouted, and and then not undermine it by going, but you were being really annoying. But I asked you 45 times. And I think when they see us, working on our conflict resolution skills, whether that's partner to partner, friend to friend in a work situation or with them, it's absolutely crucial. Which, last question for you, Nick, before I let you get back to campus. If a child leaves Horizon with a quality, I guess, beyond academic achievement, what would you hope that would be?
I think if you try and reduce it to one, it would be self-efficacy. So there's a lot around that. But if children leave believing that they can succeed, that's huge. If they leave believing that their actions can have a positive result, that can unlock all sorts when they're older. But it's very specific, because you can't have general self-efficacy. You can only have self-efficacy in specific domains. So you might have great self-efficacy on the sports field, or in the exam hall, or in the dance studio. But if we can get children having as much of that feeling in as many domains as possible, then they are going to fly.
That's beautiful. Nick Hart, thank you so much for your time. Massively appreciate it. Principal of Horizon English School Town Square, soon to open 2027. We are back tomorrow. We are going to be broadcasting live from the Beam, so come hungry. We're going to be meeting the chef. We're going to be talking food, film, award-winning restaurants. And if you're feeling a bit stuck about where to go at the weekend, don't worry, we have got your back. That's all coming up from 1 o'clock. In the meantime, though, here's the debrief.
This is Dubai Eye 103.8.
Your home of news, business,